You can come up and stand right at the podium if you would. All right, Ms. Jacobo, I'm Judge Sara Smolenski, and we're talking on your file D19-03029A. It has the case when you got arrested for operating while intoxicated a year ago. So what's happening now from that August 10, a year ago arrest, when you were placed on probation, is they're alleging that you violated your probation. They're saying that you violated your probation in several different ways. One, you haven't paid all your monies on the case. Two, you missed some appointments that you were supposed to have. Three, you didn't do all of your community service. Four, you didn't complete your counseling. Five, they say you tested positive for marijuana on several occasions in the year 2019 and 20. Six, they said that you failed to report for testing on some occasions, both in 2019 and 2020, at least 3 or 4 times. And that you did admit to drinking alcohol at one of your probation appointments. Probation violation, Ms. Jacobo, it's like a pass-fail. You either pass probation or you fail probation. It isn't how many things have happened or what's going on. It's did you complete everything or did you not? You have the right to plead guilty or not guilty to the probation violation. You have the right to have an attorney and talk to somebody about it if you want to get some further advice and counsel. If you pled not guilty, you'd have a right to have a hearing. And at a hearing, we'd talk about the case, about the details of what you were supposed to do and what they're saying you didn't do or failed to do. You'd have the right to talk to an attorney just like you would if you were charged with a criminal case. While the probation violation is a little bit like a new case, it's not a new criminal charge, it's just a violation of your probation. The penalty, however, can be fines, court costs, jail time, community service, just like the original charge. Okay, any questions for me so far?
No, ma'am.
On that advice of rights form, did you look it over?
Yes, I do.
Do you feel like you understand the basics?
I do.
Okay, then I'll ask you to sign that and date it today's date, and then you can put it right in that box. And then I want to ask you, are you going to want to talk with somebody? Do you want to get some further advice? Are you going to handle this yourself, or what are you thinking?
Can I speak with somebody?
Yes? So today what we're going to do is we'll just say not guilty.
Your Honor, I am in the courthouse.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. So maybe I'll just have her talk with you and you guys have a conference. We'd appoint you on it so you can decide what you'd want to do, Mr. Abuxia.
That sounds good. I can be right over right now if you
Yeah,
want
that's
to
fine.
handle one
I'll
other
have her
one.
go out. Yep, I'll have her go out and you guys can talk maybe in the jury assembly room so you can have some distance.
Okay.
Yep, okay. All right, you can keep your paper right there and then go across the hall, down the hall. I'm not gonna have you post any bond right now. We'll just make it a $1,000 PR bond. I'm not gonna have you post any money right now, but I do want you to talk to Mr. Abuxia. He's the attorney from the Public Defender's Office. And your paper that you signed, it goes in that box, doesn't it, Dale?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, you can set it right there.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead and get your, and you can bring that back. You guys are together?
Yes.
That's fine. Yeah, he's right here. He's waiting in the back. His name is Mr. Abuxia. Yep, thank you. That's Pamela Jacobo.
Right, Your Honor.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Joseph, give me just a second if you would. Can
No
you hear me?
problem.
Yep,
Yeah, I can hear
good.
you.
I'll be right with you in a second.
Okay, thank
I
you.
think, yep, I think somebody's part of our Zoom meeting that's on the telephone. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
What's your last name? On the
Hale.
telephone?
Hale.
Yep, it's Denver Hale.
Yep.
Okay. Do you have video capacity, Mr. Hale, on your smartphone or on whatever you're calling in on?
I do not.
Okay. Give me 1 second, I'll be with you here, Mr. Hale. I'm going to talk to one other individual before you. Mr.
Okay.
Jimson, we're back to you. Joseph Jimson, on your file, it's D20-01103SD. This is the case that you're going to probably remember where you got arrested for operating while intoxicated.
Yes, ma'am.
April, now, just say a little over 5 months ago. Your case was pled down to a lesser charge, operating while visibly impaired, and today's the date for the actual sentencing.
Yes,
If
ma'am.
there's anything you can think of, Mr. Joseph, anything that you want to say or anything that you want me to consider, now would be the time that you can speak out. Tell me your thoughts.
I don't really have much thoughts. I just know that I had, made a mischaracter of judgment that night,
Yep.
and I'm clearly reaping what I sow and doing what I need to do to make sure I get this taken care of.
Okay. When you were driving and you hit the curb, it actually snapped the tie rod on your car, didn't it?
Yes, it did.
So does that like total the vehicle, or what happens with the vehicle?
Well, originally they said that the vehicle wouldn't be fixable, but we ended up getting it fixed.
You did get it fixed or did not?
No, we ended up getting it fixed.
Yeah, okay. What just ballpark, do you know what that cost?
300.
Yeah. So just try to picture, Mr. Joseph, when you talk about this being a mistake on your part, picture if it wasn't a curb that you hit.
It would be far worse, sir. It could have been
Yeah.
deadly. I do
Yeah.
understand.
Far worse and deadly. You hit it right on the nail on the head. And really, we don't want that to happen to anyone, Mr. Joseph. We don't want that to happen to you. We don't want that to happen to anybody.
Yes, I understand, ma'am.
2 weeks ago on Friday, I've lost track of the date of the incident, but I had 2 cases 2 weeks ago Friday, and both were fatals. Accidents that had happened months before, like yours is April here, and I'm talking to you today, it's October 5. When I had those 2 fatals, they had happened back, well, I think one was in 2019 and one was in earlier 2020. And in a split second, lives were changed forever. I mean, we had 2 fatal car accidents, completely unrelated, 2 totally different cases. But the families of those people on both sides of that are devastated beyond devastation. And I get that in your case, nobody died. And for that, I'm very grateful. But I'm just saying, in a split second, it can happen. And these other people that I'm talking about with their cases, they never in a million years thought that would happen to them. So I'm just asking you to really take this seriously. Have this be your last time, Mr. Joseph,
Yes,
that
ma'am.
have it be your last time that you're ever in court as a defendant. Did you get your assessment done?
Yes, I did.
All right, we're going to have you follow through with our probation department, not as a part of punishment, just to get you thinking about this in a smarter way. They have classes and counseling that they send people to, and you'll be following that with your probation officer. I do not
Okay.
give you any more jail than what you already did.
Okay.
It's a 93-day suspended jail sentence where 90 days are suspended, 3 days credit, 5 days community service, 1 year of probation, no alcohol, no illegal drugs, no misuse of prescription medication, no marijuana, testing randomly to make sure you're staying clean, counseling like I just talked about. Monetarily, it's a big hit. It's expensive. Yours is $1,270 for everything. That's $560 for the impaired, $360 for the probation at $30 a month times 12, $75 crime victims' right fee, and $275 back to the Kent County Sheriff's Department. The Secretary of State is going to take your license away. Make sure you're following what they say. You set a bond, posted a bond, that bond gets applied. So just make sure you're doing everything you're asked to. I'm not asking you to be perfect. I'm asking you to be law-abiding, okay?
Okay.
Can you think of any other questions that you have, Mr. Jimson?
No, I can't.
Yeah. So your probation officer will be in contact with you. We're pretty much doing everything remotely.
Okay.
So just stay in contact, okay?
All right.
All right. You can disconnect. Thank you for your courtesy.
No problem.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Dennis Hale?
Yep.
So, Mr. Hale, where are you calling from? The Orleans?
Yeah.
Is that where you still live, on Orleans Road?
Yep.
We can get you mail there?
Yep.
What's your date of birth?
9693.
So you just turned what? 27?
27. Yep.
So you just turned 27 last month, a month ago. And these cases have to do with a domestic violence that you had way back July of a year ago, July 2019, a domestic violence with some partner you had named Destiny Park, and then a malicious destruction of property that may have been dismissed. I'm not entirely clear. They're saying that,
I believe it was dismissed.
they're saying that you're on probation to us and have been on probation for us, and that you dropped the ball with probation. When I say drop the ball, I'm talking about not completing everything you were asked to do, Mr. Hale. They claim that you missed some appointments, all supposed to be by phone, not in person. One in March, one in April this year. You missed both of them. Secondly, they said you have not paid your monies as you were required to do. And third, they said you did test positive for marijuana in February this year, and that there were at least 6 or 7 times you were asked to be tested that you never showed up. Those are the allegations, Mr. Hale, of you violating your probation. Now, you can either admit it or deny it. It's like pleading guilty or not guilty. A probation violation is treated similarly to a new criminal case, like that you can plead guilty or not guilty. You also can be punished for a probation violation, including fines, court costs, even jail time. If you go forward, it has to be a decision you make. If you're not sure, you can talk to somebody. You have the right to have an attorney when you're charged with a probation violation. And if you couldn't afford an attorney, the court could appoint an attorney to represent you. The decision in the end, it has to be yours as to whether you completed your probation successfully or did not complete your probation successfully in any one of the areas I'm talking about. Now, Mr. Hale, do you think of any questions that you have?
Nope.
Are you currently working at all?
No, I'm trying to find a job currently.
And is the Orleans address your folks?
Yep.
You live with your mom and dad?
Yep.
Okay. So what are your thoughts regarding this, Mr. Hale? Do you want to talk with somebody further and discuss it and try to decide what to do? Or do you feel confident making your own decision, saying you either violated or did not violate your probation?
Well, I know I violated because I ain't had the money to pay it. So,
What'd you do in that regard? Not having the money to pay it, what did you do? Did you contact Mr. Stoner? Did you contact anybody here at the court? What did you do when you knew you weren't going to have the money? Because there was a payment plan set up, correct?
correct.
So when you realized you weren't going to have the money, what did you do? Who did you contact? What did you do?
Nobody. I just kind of kept looking for a job.
Just kept looking for a job?
Mm-hmm.
And you're doing that now.
Yep.
How would you miss making a phone call to the court? If they said you missed 2 appointments to contact Mr. Stoner by phone, how would you miss that?
I was unaware of the 2 appointments.
Never knew about the 2 appointments?
No, I didn't get no mail about it either.
What did you think about your probation and staying in contact with your probation officer? Were you thinking about it at all?
No, I guess not really.
Did you even give them any kind of information about, like, you knew you weren't going to be paying your monies? You knew you weren't going to be paying your monies, so what to do? No contact like that?
No, I figured I'd have a job by now.
Right. But like, we don't know, right? We wouldn't know when you'd get a job or not. We wouldn't know it.
Right.
How about the issue of missing appointments for testing?
I was told that they were shut down due to the COVID.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Stoner wants to say a couple of things, your probation officer. He's here. If you can hear him on this Zoom, let me know. If you can't, I'll repeat what he says. Go ahead, Mr. Stoner.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just want to make a note for that March 10th fail to appear. That one was in person, which we scheduled on February 10th, 2020, the date of his intake appointment. He was also given a reminder card for that appointment, so he knew he needed to report in person on that date.
He's indicating, Mr. Hale, that on March 10, you knew there was an in-person appointment, that the last time you were here, you were given a reminder card, and that the appointment was March 10, but you never showed. And then it was the April 14 one that was set up by telephone, and you never called in. No memory of that?
The March one had completely slipped my mind.
Just slipped your mind? But did you ever think of it again? Like, I'm wondering, do you ever call in at all to say, oh my gosh, I missed an appointment. Oh my gosh, I haven't paid any fines. Oh my gosh, I should talk about what doing because I'm in a really tough spot. No contact, right?
Right.
I mean, it would have been easy. I'd say easy for me to say that, I guess. But it seems like it would be pretty easy for you to call in and say, gosh, with this COVID, everything's a mess and I don't know what to do. You just never contacted us at all, did you?
No.
Yeah. Do your mom and dad still work or are they retired?
She works.
Yep. I'm just wondering, if you're just around the house by yourself all the time or if there are other people around. I'm sure it's not easy when you're looking for work and you can't find it.
No.
The recommendation in your case, yeah. The recommendation in your case, Mr. Hale, is 30 days in jail. That's a lot. The part that I struggle with the most is that you don't even call us. That you don't contact us at all. That you don't even make an effort. You don't write a letter. You don't send a postcard. You don't pick up the phone. I get that people are having trouble. People are losing their job. I mean, let's face it, our whole world is upside down more than it has ever been in any of our lives. I get that. It's upside down at the court. We're doing things all, different. But for you not even to call in and say, gosh, I'm on probation. I was supposed to pay, $1,500 or $1,200. I haven't been able to send in a nickel. I missed an appointment. It completely slipped my mind. It just sounds like you've checked out. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you told me I moved to Florida, I would believe you because we had no idea where you were. We had no idea where you were. I'm not saying you skipped town. I'm just saying, even if you told me you left to go get work somewhere, we would have no way of knowing it because we never heard from you. That ball is in your court. You know what I'm saying? That's on you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, this is what you need to do. Right now, the total amount that's owed, Mr. Stoner, is the accurate amount on that 1245?
That's correct, Your Honor. That would be, let me give you an accurate reading here. Total dollar value is $1,130 on his balance, Your Honor.
1,130.
Correct.
Okay. So this is what I'm going to say, Mr. Hale. You owe $1,130. This is not your mom's problem. It's not your dad's problem. It's not your sibling's problem or anybody else. It's on you. You just turned 27, so that's an adult in anybody's book. I'm going to give you 20 days in the Kent County Jail for you to report. I'll put this down as October 15th, which is a week from Thursday. October 15th, you'd report to jail to do 20 days. But here's my point. If you pay the $1,130, by the 15th of October, which is a week from Thursday, it's a week from this Thursday, then you don't have to do the jail. The 7694A is revoked. So that first-time offender program is over with. You don't get that anymore. So that domestic violence is going to still be on your record either way. But you pay the $1,130 by the 15th, you don't go to jail. You'd still have to pay the $1,130 no matter what. If you go to jail or not, it's not a either or. So you know that. The $1,130, well, I said that kind of funny. Here's what I mean. If you pay the $1,130 by the 15th, then you won't have to go to jail. But if you don't have the money together, you do the 20 days and you still pay the money. Does that make sense?
Yep.
I'm not saying do you agree with it. I'm sure it's frustrating for you. Hopefully you'll never get yourself in this spot again and we'll be done with it. I terminate your probation. Terminate your probation. What else, Mr. Stoner?
Your Honor, I just wanted to clarify for the court, if he does fail to pay and reports to jail, would you like him to report by 5 p.m. on October?
Yep. 5 p.m. on the 15th.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, so you get what we're saying. We're not going to mail you anything. This is it. Just me telling you, Mr. Hale. So figure it out and
Okay.
get it taken care of. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, yep. We're adjourned. You can terminate. Thank you for your courtesy. Okay, Mr. Abuxia, we've got Ms. Jacobo. What were you guys thinking about?
I believe at this time we were gonna, talk about the violations. And
Sure. All right. So Ms. Jacobo, when we were talking earlier about the probation violation, they talked about a number of areas that you fell short. Missing appointments, not paying your monies, not doing the community service. I'm sure it's overwhelming for you, but just try to pull it together. Okay, easy for me to say, I'm the judge sitting here. This is probably not, well, I don't know. I was going to say it's probably not the worst thing that ever happened to you. If this is the worst thing that ever happened to you, you can deal with this. You can deal with this. There are other things that are worse than this. Like your mother dies, somebody gets sick, somebody's in a car accident. Okay, you can deal with this. But what they're saying is you dropped the ball. Didn't do your community service, didn't stop using drugs when we asked you to, missed counseling appointments. It's pretty much everything we asked you to do on probation. Paying the money. I've talked to people all the time that have trouble with the money. I get that. But we need to know about it and we need to figure out some plan. Not doing your community service, even during COVID, there's ways that we could have had you do stuff at home to do for community service. So your decision is whether you say, I fell short and didn't do everything I was supposed to, or no, I did everything the way I was supposed to. That's really the question. I called it before when we were talking, a pass-fail. Probation violation. That's the allegation. You either passed the probation or you failed the probation. A little bit or a lot. It doesn't matter. It's did you pass it or did you fail? Do you get my question?
Yes, I do.
So what do you think when you really study this yourself and really ask yourself the question, did you pass probation or did you fail?
I think I failed,
What are the areas that you thought you failed?
in a lot. I don't wanna make excuses.
Okay.
for What happened, but I did have like 2 suicide attempts.
For you?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you've had some real intense mental health issues where you had a lot bigger things than this if you're thinking about taking your life.
Yeah, I was at Pine Rest twice,
Yeah.
so,
Well, they can do a lot of things to help you get your head on straight so you're not thinking those thoughts, because nobody wants that to happen. And I don't know what your problems are in life. I don't know what are all the things that cause you worry and stress. But if they're rising to the level where you want to stop living, that's no good.
I've been dealing with a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an excuse for not doing everything, and everything did get hard just economically.
Uh-huh.
Job.
Well, that's true with everybody, pretty much.
I don't qualify for stimulus checks. I don't qualify for unemployment, so I don't have access to
Uh-huh.
the resources that a lot of people do.
Uh-huh.
So it's been really hard for me to get back on my feet. I'm barely starting to get better and trying to see life in a different way.
Are you on medication now?
No.
No. So you're just handling it. Do you have kids?
I have 3 kids.
And do they live with you?
No, their dad has them because of the situation that I
Uh-huh.
was going through, and I was homeless.
Yep.
I have nowhere to live for a while.
Well, just with your kids alone, you've got to get yourself on track. Just for the sake of your kids, you've got to get your life on track.
Right, it's just really hard when you
Yep.
don't have support from anybody. I don't have
Right.
my mom or my dad or uncle.
Uh-huh. So who are you living with?
I'm living with my friend Cindy right now. She's the one.
And she's just helping you a lot.
Yeah, she's the one helping me with my emotional support,
Uh-huh.
helping me find resources. She helped me find a job
Uh-huh.
that
Where are you working now?
I'm supposed to start a job tomorrow
Uh-huh. Where?
at the Great Giant Market on Hall and Madison.
Uh-huh.
It's walking distance from where I live
Uh-huh.
because I can't drive.
Right.
So right now we're trying to figure out what's gonna happen from today.
Right. Right. All right, Mr. Stoner, is there anything you can think of that you want to say?
Your Honor, I would just like to point out for the court that Ms. Jacobo was really upfront with me in the intake appointment that she just had a lot of hardships. At that time, though, she was working, she was cleaning homes. She knew what was expected of her while on probation. She knew she needed to do her testing. She knew she needed to do counseling. And community service went above and beyond for her. They offered to pick her up for a shift to start. She rescheduled 3 times, and she said, well, no, I've got a ride figured out, and then just didn't report. So people have really tried to help her through this, and we've just kind of dropped the ball as was noted on the record.
Right.
And at this point, Your Honor, I would recommend that we terminate probation as unsuccessful, 30 days jail. And she did have that job in the beginning, Your Honor, so I would leave to the court's discretion that any civil contempt for failing to pay.
Okay. All right, Ms. Jacobo, anything else you can think of? Yeah, go ahead.
I do have some money right now that I can pay towards my fine.
Uh-huh. Okay. Miss Cindy, what's your last name? Yeah. How did you connect with Ms. Jacobo? Yes? Is it a church program?
No, Your Honor, I met Pamela Hokobo 3 years ago through a mutual friend that helped me after a surgery, and that's how I met her.
I see.
And she often provided, when she had a place to live, she would always feed people extra that didn't have enough food. And she located me. My number changed through COVID. I'm a realtor of 20 years in the community. I live off South Division. And Pamela contacted me and said she had no place to go and wanted to know if she could stay at my home. It's just me and my daughter. My husband was deported. So I have a lot of, compassion for people that struggle to, they get in trouble. They don't always have worker authorization, and it makes it extra difficult to get anywhere in the city without transportation, as you're aware. And I looked for ways that could empower her to help her get back on her feet. And to, she doesn't have her kids right now, but for the first time in months, she's been able to see her kids. She signed up for a program called COFI, Community Organizing and Family Issues, which is a leadership program for women that helps goal setting for yourself, with your family and your community. And she's starting it this week with myself. And it's about reducing violence in your home and in the community. And then I spoke with a friend at Camp Renew because it's within walking distance about her doing volunteer work there, so she can walk.
Is Comp Renew taking people right now for community service?
Well, I only spoke to my friend, and he's the son of the owner.
Okay.
And I haven't spoke to the owner, but I spoke to his son because he did his community service there. So
Right.
I spoke to him about Camilla going somewhere closer to where we stay. So St. Joseph, the worker, isn't far away, but her car is like, she did have a car, but it's broke down in an alley, and she hasn't had any money.
Well, right now, I doubt if she has a driver's license.
Right, but I'm just saying, like, there
Right.
has been one.
Yeah, I'm not doubting it.
She can't access an apartment because she doesn't have the proper identification.
Right.
There's like,
Well, it's admirable that you're doing a great amount to help and assist, Ms. Hicks. I think that's a really great thing. Eventually, Ms. Jacobo is going to have to do some things on her own, obviously, to get things stabilized, and I get that. I'm not going to have you go to jail right now, but what I'm going to do is reschedule this out for 60 days, 2 months. I'm still terminating the probation, but I want to be monitoring the community service. 120 hours of community service, and you can contact the person here at the court that's going to schedule that, either at Comp Renew or something else. I want to see if tell me?
I'm gonna go to the image right now.
Uh-huh,
See if they can take me in to do the community service there.
uh-huh,
And I will call you or whoever I have to call.
right. Well, we have a person at our court that is Brenda McWaters that's going to be scheduling how you do your community service. I'm not telling you right now that you won't still have to do a jail sentence. I'm holding it in a bay right now, a 30-day jail sentence, not decided yet. So I just am rescheduling this for 2 months out, 2 months, it goes fast. And you're going to have to show me that there's been a huge turnaround. Because if there's not, there's no question it's going to be a served jail. Even if you're doing better, I have to make sure that you recognize, when I spoke to you at sentencing, I told you to do this, 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 and this. I suspended your jail sentence, and I said you'd only do jail if you don't do this, this, and this, and this. And that's the key. So, Mr. Abuxia, we'll keep you apprised as well. And Mr. Stoner, I still want it terminated, but I want our community service person to look into it so that we can get that done completely, and then I'll make my decision as to the penalty. Okay? All right. Head downstairs. I think that's it for right now with us. Okay? Thank you, Ms. Hicks, for all you're doing.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, you bet.
Your Honor, thank you for giving my friend an opportunity to prove that she.
Yeah, she's got work to do, no doubt about it. We just all hope it works. Thanks a lot. Yeah. Mr. Davis, can you hear me? Connor Davis?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Can you take your hat off?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
So, Mr. Davis, I'm Judge Sara Smolenski talking to you on file D20-00762. It's a case when you got charged with operating a vehicle when you had drugs in your system. And that's what you're here today to be sentenced for. If there's anything you can think of, Mr. Davis, that you want to say, you can speak. You were representing yourself from the Public Defender's Office, and we're going to give Mr. Abuxia just a minute. He was going back to his office here, and he's going right in shortly. So,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Abuxia, thank you. That's the Connor Davis case that we just started to talk about. And I asked Mr. Davis if there's anything he can think of that he wants to say. If you want to speak first, Mr. Abuxia, you can. Oh, we're not hearing you because it's on mute.
I apologize, Your Honor. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Thanks.
Thank you. As I was saying that you couldn't hear, I've had the opportunity to speak with Mr. Davis several times, and I know that one of the concerns of the court is community safety and things of that nature, how that person's going to be in the community after a charge like this. And I'd just like to bring to the court's attention that after several conversations with Mr. Davis, he's taken a lot of steps to correct the situation and make sure that he's never going to go down this road again. He works in construction full-time. He's an iron worker. It appears he's on the job site right now. He does live with his girlfriend. Since this incident happened, he has stopped the use of marijuana and other prescribed drugs that make him or made him feel different than they should have. They didn't react well with him. And so shortly after this happened, he put himself on the right track to discontinue that drug use so that this would never happen again. He's conveyed to me several times that not only was he worried with hurting himself in this instance, he was very worried about hurting others. And so the conversations with Mr. Davis just showed me that he's taken a lot of time to think about what had happened on that date, and he is taking the corrective actions necessary to make sure that they do not happen again. And I think that that's paramount, and that's essentially what the court looks for in a case such as this, to make sure that this does not happen again and there is no reoffense. And so
Okay.
with that, I'd like Mr. Davis to have the opportunity to say anything he'd like to say.
Okay, thank you for your preparedness, Mr. Abuxia. Mr. Davis, can you think of anything that you want to say?
Your Honor, well, I made a mistake that night, and it was a selfish act because talked to my family about it. I'm adopted, and my stepsister had a sister that was killed by somebody right down the road that we live in. So, I made a mistake, and ever since then, it's just, that's selfish. Why would I want to take someone else's life and have to live with that guilt and go to jail? And, and ever since then, I started doing iron work, which is building towers and working with steel. And, it's just, when you have to pass drug tests because you get ran
Right.
on the job site, so you can get a ram if you get hurt on the job site. I make good money, and marijuana was all fun back when I was a kid. Being honest, I smoked it all the time when I was a kid in high school because I had no responsibilities and didn't have to be an adult, but now it's not worth the money. It's not worth getting caught, even though it's illegal. It's just not me anymore, and it's not fun. I have way too much anxiety. And I'm just turned 21, and I want something more to show for myself. I'm living at my girlfriend's house, and she's not all happy. She goes, "When are you going to grow up?" And we're on the edge of kind of breaking up right now. And right now I'm just waiting to find out, get on probation, because a lot of apartments don't take people on probation, but I'm going to have to live with this. And, whatever I have to do, I'm going to have to do. Whatever fines I have to pay, I have to find, because I have to take responsibility. It's just all about, I have to be a man. I have to be an adult.
Yeah.
If I did this, I did it. So time to own up to it. Time to just do the time, and I'm gonna have to progress and move on, overcome. So that's all I have to say.
Well,
just me,
you're
just being
saying
me.
all the
I
right
know
things.
it's never gonna happen again.
Yeah, I appreciate all that you're saying, and I think you put a lot of thought into it. And to me, it sounds like you're saying all the right things. I don't think that you're being disingenuous. I think you're being honest. I'm concerned about that experience that your stepsister had with the sister that died. Was that a car accident, or what was that?
She was on her way to work at Tractor Supply. Guy was driving his truck, and he was intoxicated. He was drunk. He blew the stop sign and smoked her and pinned her up against a tree, and she died.
That was it right there. And when was that in relation to now? Was it a couple of years ago?
Yeah, it was when I was in 8th grade. I believe it had to happen 14, 15.
Okay. Well, I sometimes will ask people in your spot, have you known anyone that was killed? Did you ever have a family member? Did you ever know anybody from your school class? Have you ever known anyone that was killed? That experience of what your stepsister went through and her family, that is firsthand devastation. There's no question about it. And in your case on 131, we're so thankful that you weren't hurt, that you weren't killed, that you didn't hurt or kill anyone else. Even after the accident, when you hit the barriers, the cable barriers, even getting out of the vehicle and being in the roadway, We have cases where people get killed after the accident. And yours reminded me of that because I had one on Alden Nash where the lady was hit from behind when she was physically outside of her vehicle and all her kids were still in the car, and it was just horrific because she did die. But my point to you is, I hear you saying all the things like you do get it. 21 is still young. You're going to go through a lot of things in your life, whether that is an unstable relationship or a loss of a job or financial difficulties or physical health problems. And all I'm saying is, we don't want to have things be worse. So we have to call your mom and dad, or we have to call your girlfriend and say, you're not going to believe it, but Connor was just killed. I mean, it's really devastating, those fatal cases. They don't get any worse. And I don't know, with your work in the construction industry and steel and all of that, your car was totaled, wasn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
So what kind of damage was done to those cable barriers that are owned by the road commission or the state of Michigan or whatever? I have no idea. But if there was any damage, you got to pay for it. So I keep the restitution on this thing open. I don't give you jail. It's a 93-day suspended jail. I choose not to give you jail. You got checked out at the hospital and then you got released?
Yes, ma'am.
So thank God, like I said, that you weren't hurt or nobody else was. I give you probation for 1 year, Mr. Davis, 12 days of community service, and they'll coordinate that not to interfere with your job. No alcohol, no illegal drugs, no misuse of prescription medication, no marijuana, testing randomly, counseling as ordered by probation. The Secretary of State is going to take your license away, so be alert to that. You're going to have to follow what they tell you.
Yeah,
The monetary, go ahead.
they already suspended it.
Okay, just follow whatever they told you. If it's done, it's done. I'm just saying that's what they do. I don't do it with your license, they do. Your monetary fines with everything is a lot. This whole thing, $1,565. That's $730 for the OWI, $360 for the probation, which is $30 a month times 12, $75 crime victims' right fee in every one of these cases, $200 Michigan State Police fee, $200 court-appointed attorney fee. Total is $1,565. You didn't go to jail, so you didn't post a bond when you got out of the hospital. You just went home to recover. You'll have to set up a payment plan for that entire amount. All right, now,
Okay.
Mr. Davis, can you think of questions for me?
No, ma'am.
I'm not asking you to be perfect. I'm asking you to be law-abiding. I'm asking you to be smarter. I already think you're smart. To act smarter so as not to repeat this kind of poor decision-making that you did that night. Are you with me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you're all set. You can disconnect. The probation department will be in contact with you.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Mr. Zamaitis?
Yep.
I've got you on the Zoom here, and I know you've been waiting. Thank you for your courtesy.
Oh, you're
The
welcome.
case that I'm talking about, Mr. Zamaitis, that you had is filed D19-02468, and it was the domestic violence case you had with that Crystal McClure.
Yep.
I had sentenced you to that case sometime back. Fines, court costs, probation, first-time offender program, anger management class. And what they're saying is, you never went to the class I asked you to take. You never did your domestic violence counseling. Now that's a probation violation, pass, fail. You either pass your probation, do everything I asked you to, or you dropped the ball and failed. Your decision on what to do on that, Mr. Zamaitis, you can either admit it or you can deny it. If you deny it, you do have a right to have a hearing, and at a hearing you can have an attorney represent you. If you couldn't afford one, the court could appoint one for you. Mr. Stoner is here, your probation officer. He's in the courtroom with me. He's indicated that pretty much on everything else, you completed everything part of your probation except the level of counseling in the domestic violence counseling program that you were ordered to be at. Monies, everything else looks like it was taken care of. Having said that, if you have questions, you can talk to an attorney, and Mr. Abuxia is here and part of the Zoom, prepared and ready to talk to you about it if you need to. If you're preparing to handle it yourself, you make your own decision in the end. Any questions for me, Mr. Zemaitis?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Abuxia, do you want an opportunity to talk to Mr. Zemaitis, or do you think that you don't need to, or what are you guys thinking?
I'm not sure, Your Honor. I could speak with him briefly. It would probably only take a couple minutes in a breakout room just to explain processes and things like that.
Mr. Zemaitis, do you feel like you want to talk to the attorney, or do you want to just go forward on your own, or what are you thinking?
I'm thinking we can just handle it right now, Your Honor.
All right, that's fine. So, Mr. Zemaitis, by going forward on your own, it's your decision. In other words, nobody can tell you what to do. It has to be your own decision. But as to the probation violation in this case, if you do go forward, it's just you and me talking to each other. And my question would be, did you violate your probation or did you not by not going to the class? That's what we're really talking about. Go ahead.
I did. I didn't make it to the class.
So why? Why would you let something like that throw this whole thing off?
Okay. During my classes, the COVID happened. I know it's no excuse, but then they wanted me to do it online.
Right?
And then I didn't have a job. Work was shut down. No money coming in. I didn't see unemployment for 3 months and 27 days. And the money that me and my family did have saved up, I have 2 daughters that I just didn't, I did the math and it didn't add up of keeping electricity in the house and food on the table. Then
You
rather
mean to take the online class was costing you money that you had to pay them before you could get online?
I would owe the money. Yeah. It wasn't our financial. We
Right, I
weren't
get it, but they weren't making you pay that to take the class.
50 or 47 months a week.
Yeah, but they didn't make you pay it before you zoomed in or contacted them, did they? Weren't they just billing you?
Yeah, but
You just felt like it's one more expense that you didn't have a priority for because of everything else going on.
we didn't have the money, Your Honor. We really didn't.
Well, I
And
get that you said no unemployment for almost 4 months. What was your spouse doing?
she was pregnant. We just had a baby 12 days ago, and she was pregnant. She was on unemployment, but unemployment was so pushed back. We both did not have unemployment for the longest time.
So how did you pay for your groceries?
I have saved money. I'm a penny pincher. I save money all the time for these reasons.
Right.
I mean, I
So
paid
did
all
you
my.
talk to Mr. Stoner? Did you talk to your probation officer about not going to the classes, not making it a top priority?
I told them my situation.
Yeah. Okay. So, Mr. Stoner, what thoughts do you have after talking with Mr. Zemaitis through the course of this case?
Thank you, Your Honor. So the defendant was originally sentenced on August 27th, 2019 to 6 months probation. The defendant he reported right down to me for his intake appointment right after the sentencing, and he was referred for Men's Resource Center for counseling to complete domestic violence counseling. He did tell me at that time that he attended one session, but he said, hey, this is too expensive. Is there anything else we could do? I at that time sent him to Catholic Charities of West Michigan, and throughout his term failed to do anything. At that he attended one intake session. He was scheduled to begin the telehealth sessions and then never showed up. However, we extended Mr. Zemaitis on January 27, 2020 to give him additional time to complete this counseling, and then he just didn't fall through on that. So, Your Honor, I would recommend we do 30 days jail, terminate probation as unsuccessful, and revoke the 7694A.
Right. Okay, I think you could hear Mr. Stoner, Mr. Zemaitis. He said that, they extended your probation for another 6 months to give you the opportunity to do the classes. They had them set up. You didn't appear. They terminated you from those classes when you didn't still connect with them. He's actually recommending 30 days in the Kent County Jail and revoking the first-time offender program, which is at 7694A. Tell me your thoughts.
really don't want to do the jail time.
Nobody does.
I'd like to pay a fine if that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm working
You
again,
just
like,
had this baby. You just had this baby 12 days ago. Boy
and
or
she's at the
girl?
children's hospital. A girl. She's at the Voss Children's Hospital right now.
Why
with
is
a
she still in the hospital?
105 temp. We just took her in two nights ago. I'm home
Oh.
with my other daughter right now, and she's at the Voss right now with our newest born right now.
Yeah, you got a lot going on.
We can't bring our other child into the hospital. They won't allow children under 18 in the hospital. So
Right.
he was
Right.
born 12. Yep.
So they're trying to figure out why the baby's has a temperature of 105.
They did the corona test on her. It's just, it takes a while to get the test results back. In the meantime, they
Right.
had her on antibiotics, and they're moving her temperature down to 101, but it keeps, after the Tylenol or whatever the antibiotics that they have in her, it's moving back up to 105. And they can't figure out what antibiotic to use to keep the temp down. And they're not ruling it as corona, but they're taking everything serious, because a baby that's born within 24 days, they have to do all the tests. I don't know. I wish she was here to give you all the information that what kind of testing they've been doing, poking and prodding at her or whatnot.
Well, I'm sorry that your baby's having to go through all of this. It's not an easy thing, I'm certain. When you go back and you try to think of what was going on, assuming with the baby's mother, Crystal, to let this situation even happen, why we're even in court, it's scary for me to think. It's scary for me to think that you would hurt someone that you love. Because then I'm thinking, what chance does that baby daughter who has, completely defenseless, and you're the parents that are taking care of her. I'm not saying that this makes you a bad dad, but if you go back to the incident where you and Crystal got into it in June a year ago, there's no way any of that should have happened. None of it. It never should have happened.
I had a bad
And that's you treating somebody that you supposedly love in a angered, violent state. It just doesn't make any sense. And then here we are asking you to do these classes because we think that it's going to be helpful. Because we can't get inside your head and understand, how could you lose it with Crystal? To be so angry, to be so upset. And then it makes me wander over into this thought process of, oh dear God, would he ever lose it with one of the kids? Would he ever do something to one of those kids? Would he ever hurt that baby? And I get it. I get that you're going to say, no way, no way, no way, no way. And yet the reality, Mr. Zamitis, is we have people that hurt babies. We have parents that hurt their own kids.
Yeah.
Out of frustration, anger, upsettedness, whatever. I don't really remember how Crystal got hit or something thrown at her, or how she scratched her face, or how she hurt her wrist. I don't have all the details of this. But if we wound this backwards to a year ago, June, and had a video of the two of you that moment in time, I'm just saying you wouldn't be happy about what you saw.
No.
You wouldn't be happy about how you reacted, what you said, and how you handled yourself. Do you get what I mean?
Yes, Your Honor.
And here we are, fast forward, and you've written me a couple of letters at Mr. Stoner's request. And really, they were pretty decent letters.
So,
you told me right off, I'm not, you're not trying to get out of what you're supposed to be doing. You're not trying to make it sound like you're not taking responsibility for it. You even told me you're embarrassed that you couldn't afford to take care of these classes. You're telling me how many hours you're working, how early you leave every day. I get it. You went to one meeting at the Men's Resource Center. You even talked about taking a lot of notes, trying to listen carefully about what they were talking about. talked about doing reading and research on your own. To somebody who's going to get involved in it that much, it just seems to me you'd follow through with what we asked you to do. And yeah, it's a hassle. Now it comes down to me deciding, do you go to jail for 30 days or not? Amidst of one of the most critical times of your life with your daughter, perhaps fighting for hers. It's just bizarre, really. And I'm not Oprah, I'm not Dr. Phil, I'm not some psychiatrist that's going to tell you, okay, this is what's going to happen with your family. I know that you're going to be able to do this, this, or this. If you're Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, I have no idea to know that, Mr. Zamitis. But if we go back to June of 2019, when you and Crystal got into it, it wasn't the Tom Zamitis we all wanted to know.
No, I know. I had a bad day, and I've been.
But you say it, yeah. And don't we all? Don't we all have bad days? I mean, seriously, we do.
I'm not a violent person at all. Like,
well, that's what makes this so disturbing. Because you describe yourself as not a violent person, and yet you let violence take over on this one with your anger and your frustration level. How many other kids do you guys have?
We have 3 total. A
Three
boy,
total.
2 girls. My son's in high school, and we have a 2-year-old and a 12-day-old.
Yep. Okay, well, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to terminate your probation. I'm going to revoke the 7694A. I'm going to assess a $500 fine. I'm not going to give you the jail time right now. I can tell you that seriously, if you're in again, you'd have a jail sentence. There'd be no question about it. I really encourage you, although we won't be monitoring it, to get some counseling help yourself. The fact that the daughter is in the hospital with a temperature at 101 or 105 and she's 12 days old, if that isn't enough stress right there for a family, I don't know what is.
I know.
And all I'm saying is we can't have you lose it. We can't have you lose it. Your family depends on you way too much. But I'm just saying, you got to get this thing resolved. I want that $500 to be paid by the end of the week. Today's Monday the 5th. Have it to the court by the 16th. Or sorry, by the 9th. By the 9th. Sorry, I said the wrong day. By Friday the 9th. You can mail it. You don't physically have to come out here.
Can I come out there?
Yes?
Okay.
Nap in the belt line. And you can come inside, or we have a drop box, whatever you want to do. We're encouraging the drop box, but you can come in if you need to.
Okay, it's cash, okay?
Yes? Then I wouldn't put it in the drop box. I'd just come in.
All right. Deal. Thank you so much.
All right. We're adjourned. Thank you. All right. Okay, you can disconnect. Is it Amanda Bingaman? Nobody else is in the Zoom room? Let's put that one on the record. It's D20-00515SD. It's the case with Amanda Bingaman. She didn't appear. It was a probation violation for this morning. It was set actually at 8:15 with the same time as Ms. Jacobo, but Ms. Bingaman never appeared. You haven't had any connection with her, Mr. Stoner?
Your Honor, I am currently covering this case for Probation Officer Cervantes, and he has indicated here that he has sent 3 notices on July 10th, 2020, August 5th, 2020, and August 19th, 2020 for her to report on those days. She failed to do that. Failed to begin properly the term of probation as well. He's called her a few times.
Okay. It was an original OWI first case. We'll do a $500 cash for defendants failed to appear this morning.
Very good.
Okay, then I wanted to get to the Amanda DeWitt case, D19-02667. SM, I think this is one of your cases, Mr. Stoner.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Have you had any connection with Ms. DeWitt? The original charge was a retail fraud.
The last time I had any contact with her was at her intake appointment on March 27th, 2020. Or I'm sorry, that would have been date of sentencing, which
February 18?
February 18.
Yeah, February 18 this year.
Since then, I've tried to contact her. The phone that I've been calling is out of service. I did get in contact with her ex-husband, who said he didn't know where she was, but if he had saw her, he would let her know what was going on. But since then, Your Honor, I've had no contact with her. She's not set up a financial form.
So there's community service due, money's due, never went to her counseling. Okay. Let's do a $500 cash bench warrant on the case with Ms. DeWitt.
Thank you.
No.
Okay.
No, we don't.
Okay.
Wouldn't he be able to be in custody at the,
He would be able to do Zoom.
do him Zoom, tell him to do Zoom.
They just called me and said, do you still want him out there?
No, tell him to do Zoom,
Okay.
okay?
Cool, yeah.
Okay, the other case we had was Robriana Lopez,
Correct, Your Honor.
and that's another one of yours, Mr. Stoner, file D20-01483FY. Started out as a felony case with an assault and a disorderly. She also had a civil infraction. Well, no, it's a misdemeanor, minor in possession. She owed money on, separate case, D20K378223. She's here, she was supposed to be here for the probation violation on the disorderly drunk case. But what did you find out? Anything?
Your Honor, I sent her 3 notice to appears for me to begin probation, and she failed to respond via phone or Zoom in any of those cases. She did call me when she received the notice for this probation
Oh,
violation.
so you did talk to her on the
She
phone?
called me, I told her of this date.
How long ago do you think it was that she called you?
That would have been about a month ago, Your Honor.
A month ago? Just early September?
Correct.
And this is October 5 today, and she didn't appear, but she knew about the date.
I also attempted to call her Friday afternoon to remind her of this.
Okay.
Your Honor, she failed to respond.
All right, that's fine. So on the Lopez case, we'll just do a $500 cash bench warrant for her failure to appear.
Thank you.
Okay, that's good, thanks. Say, Mr. Abuxia, do you know possibly who is handling the Gordon prelim? It's an embezzlement case.
I can check right now, Your Honor. Gordon, you said?
Yes, Michael Gordon.
That would be Valerie Foster, Your Honor.
Okay. I
And
want to get word to Val. We heard this morning that Mr. Gordon was in, I think they call it precautionary COVID isolation.
okay,
So he's at the Kent County Jail in what they're calling precautionary COVID isolation. I'm asking that he be part of the Zoom where they put like the movable camera in the room of his cell,
yeah,
but it's supposed to be live, prelim today, but he won't physically be here. Others probably will be live, but they're not bringing him out because of the precautionary COVID isolation.
okay.
He
I
did
will,
get a, he did get a offer that I'm not sure she knows about. Plead to a misdemeanor, embezzlement over 200, under 1,000. Pay full restitution and give full and truthful testimony against co-defendant. That was the offer made on Mr. Gordon, to take the felony to a 1-year misdemeanor. And that might do it right there, I don't know.
Okay, I'll reach out to her. It looks like that's at 10 o'clock, so I would imagine
Yep.
she's en route to the courthouse, but I will reach out to her.
Okay, sounds good, thanks so much.
Thank you. Talk to you later.
All right, see you later. Tell me again.